Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. It is Tuesday, February 4th. This is a meeting of the Plan Commission of the City of West Bend. More than 24 hours in advance of this meeting, notice the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes. I invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We recognize the quorum of our Plan Commission here tonight. Our first item of business is approval of our minutes from the regular meeting, Plan Commission meeting held on January 7th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, John. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to a conditional use permit tonight. John, take it away.
Our first public hearing for this evening is a conditional use permit to allow a tattoo establishment located at 544 South Main Street, Unit B by Mckensie Albiero for Trillium Tattoo LLC.
Jim?
Thank you. So we have a request for the tattoo establishment under the code. Tattoo establishments under the B1 zoning requires a conditional use to be issued. So the owner has provided a letter of operations for operating from 10 to 10 Tuesday through Saturday by appointment. They're looking at employing 1 or 2 employees on the site at the time, and anticipating 2 to 6 clients a day on an average of 32 to 96 clients a month. Deliveries will be sent to the owner's home and they will be brought into the business. Parking is available on both Main Street and on Oak Street. And the person is licensed already through the state of Wisconsin for the applicant or the tattooing license. We did notify everyone within 200 feet of the public notice, and staff received no inquiries or questions regarding the conditional use. Staff would recommend approval of the conditional use with the listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. The public hearing is now open on this topic. Anybody wishing to address the Plan Commission, you're invited to the podium. Just state your name and you will be heard. So the public hearing is now open.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing by Mike, second by Paul. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. The public hearing is now closed, and we have a recommendation for approval with the listed conditions. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Second by Scott. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll move on to our site plans tonight.
Our first item for our regular agenda tonight is a site plan for a request of approval to renovate the existing building and construct a new garage, addition, refuse area, assembly space, and storage area located at 261 through 267 South Main Street.
Thank you, John.
John's gonna brief us.
You want me to do that one?
Yeah.
Sure. So this particular project, do you have anything for the screen? You do have the screen up, sorry. Let me get to, I gotta get past the minutes. So this particular project, the Planning Commission did actually see back in, I believe it was September, and it was for a garage. So there's currently a wooden frame garage there. The applicant wanted to remove that garage, and you approved a new garage. Since that time, they have submitted revised plans. Now the garage is actually attached. This garage is attached to the building. It has a retail space on the lower level, access to the river, parking, detention pond, the patio on top of the new addition with a refuse facility, as well as renovations of the existing building. So if you look through the staff report, We went through and there's a lot of comments from staff as well, as from staff from planning as well as some other departments. And let's see here. There's a lot of pages, sorry. So just to kind of summarize it and kind of quickly, there's a lot of small items as well as some little larger items that are need to be resolved with the application. Those are detailed on the last page of the staff report. Staff's recommending two options. One is to defer the item to allow the applicant to return next month to take care of some of the items that are listed in the report. Or if Planning Commission should decide to recommend approval, staff would recommend it would be conditioned upon those items, and then it would be dealt with staff and the applicant. If for some reason something significant changed, staff would bring it back to the Planning Commission. But some of those items have to do with the design of the building in relationship to the design guidelines that are downtown. Some of the items have to do with the fact that part of the building is actually in the right-of-way, trying to figure out how to address that particular situation. There's some other items related to engineering, stormwater, those types of things. And I can go into it a little bit more detail, but I think that's a quick summary.
Okay. Is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak on this topic? Yeah, please.
So we are actually being recorded, so you'll have to come up to the podium and speak through the microphone so those who are at home can actually hear you. Whoever you would
Yeah,
like.
Whoever.
I guess I don't know if there's any like specific civil or site questions that anybody has based on the staff report. Otherwise, I'll just state that there's not any intention for there to be any significant changes like the first go around. So obviously our desire would be to have this approved based on these conditions that are listed in the staff report.
I guess my question I have for you is, there's a list of 14 conditions here, and what would you like us to do? Would you like us to defer this to a future meeting and give time to address some of these, or would you prefer we approve it with the list of conditions?
So I guess our preference would be the latter, unless someone wants to talk over me. Okay. I believe our preference would be for approval, yes.
So I'm sorry, this project I turned out of. I never, on any of my projects, on any townships, any cities, I've always GC'd this one, the building that got tore down today. I went through this miserable process with the city on that. We're tearing the building down, so this building, I thought maybe I'm the difficult one. It's a good possibility. So I'm like, okay, fine. Hired Nate as a GC. I haven't submitted anything on this. So we've got a GC working on this. We've got PSEs. We've got engineers, surveyors, whatnot. I guess for me, the painful part is the September you said we were here. And then it's like, we just get trickled information. And I've watched this, not just on this project, but it's just painful as a city of West Bend taxpayer. Painful. So that's why I didn't want to come up here tonight. I'm glad Mckensie came. I'm glad Nate came. This garage, which is it started with, nothing came up. No questions were asked on this building. And then once again, it's on the final hour. Jim, thank you for the email Friday, 5:07. I didn't see us on the agenda. Honestly, I didn't even care. I figured we were getting the can kicked, but then Nate started, obviously, and then I did see Jim, which was nice enough that Jim did follow up Friday, like, hey, if you don't see me on the agenda or yourself on the agenda, we can add you next week. So for me, it's a painful process. The building that came down today, we were gonna put $1 million in there. I assume there's some tax base. I get it. It's not a $20-30 million project, but it was $1 million. We would have put $1 million in the other one next to it. This building, we would have put money in, you know, I guess you tell me, do you want this one tore down too? What does the city want? Ultimately, the 14 things we know nothing about, correct?
There are some new items on there, yep.
Do you want me to address that?
Sure.
So when the application came back in, I'll be honest, staff, it was resubmitted as the garage, so we actually thought that it was going to be modifications to the garage, and then as staff dug into it, it is actually attached to the building, and so it was a much more complicated project. Typically for projects like this, we probably would have had a little bit more of a heads up, and we would have had a pre-application meeting and that kind of thing, and done a little bit of more work up front before the formal application was. So there was a lot more to this particular project than there was in September, so it did take staff a little longer to get through it all. You know, Jim and I talked about it. We wanted to make sure you could get on the agenda. We didn't want to bounce it to another month, and so we felt that it was something that was workable. It's a great project. It has a lot of great opportunities. There's just lots of tiny little things that I think, and granted, you just got it yesterday, so you probably haven't had a chance to have it all sink in, but I think they're all quite workable items with, you know, maybe an hour conversation with your consultants and stuff. We can probably work all those through, and in a, you know, a week or so, we can get those revisions and move on. So I don't, it may seem like a daunting list, but I don't think they're unsurmountable.
And I don't mind the list. I negotiate every day. I think I'm rather good at it, but, so I pivot all the time. You call this attached. As far as the work around there, if it doesn't need to be attached, once again, if I need to be 6 inches off or 12 inches off, I am very formable. I'm not that rigid. So
Those are, that's a topic that can be discussed too, that may shift some of those discussion points of, you know, if it's attached versus a separate building, those types of things. So those are, you know, it's just, those are all things that we could work through and say, well, if it's this, then this is what needs to happen. If it's separated, then that changes it in this direction. And we'd be glad to try to, you know, walk through those differences in the application if that's helpful.
for me, just my portfolio, I like to perform. And these 3 buildings aren't performing. They're anchors, so that's where we're at a crossroads. Are we gonna continue to do this in the city of West Bend, or are we going to other communities?
But again, it has the potential to be a great project, so.
Nate? Or,
No, you're good. I guess I just wanted to say, with it being like deemed as being attached, that's when a lot more things kind of came into play to, like with the, you know, with our initial submittal, we obviously didn't have any changes proposed to the existing building because nothing was needed. And then when it was considered an addition, then that's where all that came into play based on, you know, the city requirements. And it seems like a lot of these comments pertain to like the aesthetics and the renovations to the.
Right, the application in September was just the garage.
Right.
And the application indicated the existing building, the 2-story building built into the hill was gonna come back at a future time.
Exactly.
And so with this as a revision to the garage, to be honest, staff was like, oh, it's a revision to the garage. And then once we dug into it, we're like, oh, this is a much bigger project, so.
Yes.
But, you know, overall, if you were to compare the two, I think that you went down a road that I think is probably a better option overall for the long term for the property.
and big picture, this definitely was more of the path. But ultimately, perfect world is, for me, I would have loved to construct ultimately the garage first. And then that's why we didn't even draw. So then ultimately we had to, you know, get another architect, engineer to quick pound out the buildings, drawings, which originally in September wasn't even a topic. The city didn't
Correct.
ask about it. So once again, you guys say jump, I say how high. That's a hard thing for me to do. I'm not good at it. So I'm probably to the end of my rope, so.
Tom, I'll tell you, I know you and I know your work. This is an awesome project. It's beautiful. There's, you know, there are some conditions. I mean, I'm reading about flood fringe overlay districts and floodplain areas and things. There's there's some items to address. I would love to have you, and I'm kind of begging you here to work with our city staff. This is something we do want in West Bend. It looks wonderful, and I can speak for my city employees here. They are willing to work with you. They want to work with you, and whatever it takes, I know that they will work with you. So please, when you talk about going to a different community, I want this in West Bend, and I truly mean that. And we will do everything to work with you to make it happen.
And truly, I've been born, raised here.
I know you
Obviously,
have.
I want good things for our community, but the resistance on the development side, there's just got to be a better path than what we've got going on. So I hope moving forward, we can, as a city, can really shape that, and hopefully, for everybody, not
Yep.
just me.
On behalf of the Community Development Department, I apologize that it wasn't looked at closer right when it came in with the assumption that it was just the freestanding garage. And, these comments should have gotten to you probably a week and a half, 2 weeks before. So we'll do whatever time we need to spend to, help you going forward.
So I just need to know, I guess, kind of, and Nate probably really wants to know, sorry, Nate, for questions I have are, yeah, I am probably a jag for not tearing down the garage. So I'm not a probably great guy for not pulling the garage down. I'm doing that intentional. I'd like some approval before I tear something down, So, but
That's completely understandable.
with that being said, I do have somebody with an excavator, skid loaders, dumpsters, dump trucks. So economical, it probably makes sense for me to tear this garage down now too. Nate, you can jump in.
Yeah, so like you said, the garage portion was approved in September. It came back then when we did see, that we were filling in those couple windows and the two wings were coming in, that it was going to be considered as an addition. Our thought process of doing the garage patio area, obviously there's not a lot of storage area for us for lumber and everything. So if we could get that garage done, get the spancrete in there so I can get lumber delivered, all my materials delivered to be staged on the spancrete versus sidewalk, taking up parking spaces, whatever we need for. So that was the thought process of the garage first, and then moving from the garage into the existing building. Everything that you got regarding the actual building, myself and architect from Xcess Engineer had a phone conversation. If it was one of you guys, I apologize. I don't remember the names on it. I forgot my notes. But basically what we submitted was exactly what they had said they would want on the building to give us approval of the garage. So the garage was approved, but I couldn't get permits until the building was also approved. They didn't want us just to do the garage and not touch the building, if that makes sense. So what we submitted is what was requested of us to submit for this building. I think the list is manageable. I haven't seen it, but I haven't ever seen a list that we haven't been able to handle. The only thing I think you said is the front of the building comes into some right of way.
Yeah, according to the survey that was submitted with it, it encroaches into the right-of-way, which makes it a non-conforming. It's that portion, if you were to look at the building now, it's the portion that has the second floor has a porch, screened-in porch type area. So where the gable is, that seems to be clearly on the property, but there's a part of that lower two-story projection that in your survey appears to come into the right-of-way.
So we're not.
And we've looked at our documents too, and it also, each document's slightly different, but our city documents are also indicating it comes into the right of way.
So it's not down on the sidewalk. You're talking about an upper level.
Overhang.
No, it's not that sidewalk slab in front. No, it's actually that,
Something's overhanging from it and it has like a support in the right of way? Or
let me see if I can get Jim to go to the right drawing. Is it the first one?
I have the site plan here. Or is that, you want?
Yeah, I guess if you go, that one, is that the site plan? Is that the grading
Yeah,
plan?
it's the site plan.
That one's
It has
fine,
both the site
but
plan
if you
and
look at
grading.
this particular drawing, I wish I could point, but I can't. Jim's pointing, so right there, on either side of that entrance door, you can see that it, and I guess that's the conversation. We need to verify, is it in the right of way or is it all on private property? We can figure that out. Our documents are probably not as accurate as yours, but our documents also sort of indicate something similar. Yours is very parallel to the property line. The documents we have a kind of a weird skew to them. I don't know what exactly, but we did try to dig deep into your information as well as we looked at the county and other things to see if there was something, and that's just a conversation probably we need to talk with whoever did the survey, and we can verify that. And there's some solutions to that, I think, but we just need to flush that out probably in a conversation from that. And if it's not in the right of way, then some of the comments go away. If it's still in the right of way, then we have a problem that is probably quite easily solved, but it will just take a solution that I don't think will change the intent or anything too drastically, but.
And I assume on the solution there, we're either talking about a grant of privilege or you're talking about potentially moving a lot line.
Yeah, because right now it's technically a non-conforming structure, and the non-conforming structure says you can only do so much work within its lifetime, which this would exceed it. So we have to I don't know, that's a solution I think we need to figure out between what the city policies are, options, and then what might be workable for you. So I don't want to say X is the answer, because Y might be a better answer for you.
No, and this is probably where I say I'm probably really fast and pivot, and I apologize, but yeah, to me, it's either grant a privilege, because if it is on city property, either I'm gonna look for a grant of privilege, or B, I'm gonna be looking to get gifted or purchase, couple, okay? Mckensie says that's not happening, so.
I'm not going to throw any solution out the window. I'm always willing to explore all the solutions, so it works both for both parties. So
That's where I guess I'm at, as far as problem solving. To me, sure, if it's over, once again, clearly it's been over. Not that we want to
Correct.
not that we want to go down eminent domain, but clearly it's been over 20 years, so there would be an eminent domain situation there also. So you can say I'm nuts on doing it, but
I don't think the grant of privilege makes sense to me.
Yes.
Sure.
and I'm open for all of those solutions.
Have you seen the list?
Yes.
I'll do
Yeah,
it.
you can-
I
Yeah,
didn't see
for
the
sure.
list yet, so
I mean, some of the things on the list are just the parking lot has to have striping, and the plans don't show parking lot striping. So, I mean, some of these things that your engineer is probably going to be a 10-minute thing of dropping some lines in.
So within the zoning code, we actually aren't required to have parking, so this is just gonna be a paved area for people to.
Then we probably just need a notation that says it's a delivery zone, or I don't know, call it something other than a parking lot, or we
Yeah.
just need to label it differently.
Yep, nope,
So-
that's fair. Yeah, I hope I don't have the word parking. I think I just said proposed asphalt, but.
It just says a proposed asphalt area, which is, it's
Right.
a fairly big asphalt area that looks like a parking lot. So,
Nope,
again,
Yeah. And then I guess just to put a little bit of ease, I mean, I know there's some questions about the floodplain area. Whatever it's worth, we are not raising the floodplain at all, so we don't need like any additional permitting for that. Our top of asphalt grade matches the existing grades, we're not raising anything. And if anything, we're helping out a little because we're putting that biofilter in there, which is.
Yeah, you still need the conditional use though for the,
Absolutely. I just meant like not through the state or anything.
oh, that way, sure.
Anything like that.
So, yeah, again, the conditional uses is for the actual grading within the floodplain area for that disturbance.
Yep, gotcha.
so we'd be glad to, I mean, I don't know what planning commission the direction is, but whether it's either option, we'll still end up having a conversation about the items. So we'd be glad to, set that up at whatever is convenience for you guys to get through it. So, and we want you to stay on schedule. I don't know. I know there are some things in the building department. So, if we can schedule those things and get these things turned around fairly quickly, that's one of the reasons why staff gave those two options, just not knowing your exact construction schedule, but being able to try to keep you on track.
And everything has been submitted to engineering as well for stormwater at this point too, so.
Great.
So yeah, I mean, if you guys are, willing to give us the approval with the conditional list, I guess I would really like to see that happen. We've been waiting quite a while. We've been working on this one for quite a while. So she saw the list. Mckensie thinks it's all doable, so I'll buy into that. And then we can at least get started, you know. Like Tom said, the excavator's there, so the garage could come down. It would save him some additional cost on driving equipment back and forth coming
So
down.
they would, they already have the barrels.
Yep.
It probably would be a morning or afternoon job, so, yep.
Yeah, and then, you know, that we can get going on footings and whatnot, so I can get materials delivered to make this happen, so.
I'll motion to approve the request to renovate the existing building and construct a new garage, refuse area, assembly space and storage area located at 261 through 267 South Main with the list of conditions.
I would second that.
Thank you, Scott. Any comments, questions?
So,
John?
so are they able to commence on the garage portion because we approved that back in September? And until they connect it to the house, then the house approvals, they can't connect it to the house until the house is approved, or is it all one project now?
So they have so we can, I'm willing to think of it as just the garage portion that could go forward. I know they've submitted for plan review through the state plan review from that perspective. The garage has changed, but nothing significant. It used to have a staircase and a catwalk, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same. So I think they could move forward with that particular part, but then the pond, the parking lot, I think all the rest of that would need to be treated as a next, resolve all of the items, and then they would submit for the permits for that. Because I think right at this point, from what I understand from the plan examiner, is it was just they didn't do any plan examination from the other building. I think the tentative floor plan that was submitted with the, for plan review for the garage is a little bit different than what was submitted for the planning commission item. So I'm not sure if you guys actually have fine-tuned all your interior work and stuff. So I think your intention is that's kind of a second application, so.
Yep, so the garage was completed, those plans, you know, there's no change to that of what was approved. As far as the existing building, you're correct, we only have the floor plans.
And most of these items on the list deal with the remodeling of the building and then site work. So I think the garage, we'll go through the list, figure out if there's anything unique to the garage, see if we can resolve that, and then we can get that out the door and then work on the rest of it. I'm fine with that.
And that would be much appreciated, and thank you.
So John, just to clarify, proceeding with the garage tear down is only possible with approving this with conditions tonight, correct? If we table this for a month, that cannot happen.
So the tear down, actually, you don't need actually any approval. He just needs a demo permit from the building department, and he could demolish which I think he may even have the demo permit for it, I'm not sure, but that doesn't require it. It would be the actual bringing that garage out of the ground, the foundations and everything.
Because next step, getting the
that part
footings
would-
going and so forth.
That would be the part that for planning commission to move that forward.
Which would be fabulous.
Got it.
Any other questions? There's a motion and a second to approve with the list of conditions. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And Tom, I meant what I said. Please give John, Jim a call. They're here to help, and this is a nice-looking project. Anything we can do from the city to help move this along, we're excited about it. So please work with us, and we want to work with you.
No, and John and Jim have been great whenever we've met, so it's cool. Appreciate it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our certified survey map tonight. John?
Sorry, I gotta go back and find the agenda. Here we go. So our certified survey map for this evening is item number B1. It's for approval of a two-lot CSM located at the northeast corner of Rivershores Drive and Shady Lane by Riverbend Development LLC.
Jim?
Thank you. So this certified survey map is to subdivide, essentially they have a parking lot out there and they have some vacant lands. They're in the process of working with another developer and selling off some of the property. So as a part of the, what they need as an approval is to separate the parking lot itself from the remaining vacant land. So this certified survey map actually creates that additional lot for lot number one being the vacant land for them to sell off, and then also the current developer to retain lot number two with the parking lot. Everything conforms to the zoning code for the MXD district, and staff would recommend approval with the condition that we address some minor technical corrections on the CSM.
Thank you, Jim. I will motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to our plats.
Our first plat for this evening is the approval of a plat for Creek's Edge Edition Number 1 and an 18-lot, single-family residential subdivision located at the intersection of Clearview Drive and Daisy Drive by Diamond Holdings LLC.
So this subdivision plat is actually the extension of the previous plat that we reviewed, or the commission reviewed, basically for Daisy Drive that extends to the east. This is the next extension of Clearview Drive to the north for 18 lots. It's zoned RS4, single-family residential. The lots comply to the standards of the zoning district. They're creating 3 outlots also with this plat. 2 of the outlots are actually for stormwater ponds. Actually, all 3 of them are for stormwater management facilities, 2 ponds, and then 1 has an outfall for a storm pipe. The grading plan has been designed for this also. Stormwater management, I believe, has been in discussions with the engineering department for that. The development itself would also require street trees along with other easements for off-site stormwater facilities and whatnot. Staff would recommend approval of the plat with the conditions listed.
Thank you, Jim. I'll entertain a motion to put this on the floor. Thank you, John. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Any comments, questions, discussion, or is there anybody here wishing to speak on this topic tonight? If not, that's okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next plat.
Our second plat for the evening is a plat for the D Farm Estates, a 7-lot, single-family residential subdivision located at the northeast corner of 18th Avenue and Patricia Drive by Georgiana D.
So back in November, the Plan Commission approved the annexation for this, and council accepted that. So the property is all within the city of West Bend now. This is a 7-lot subdivision with an outlot for stormwater purposes, and then for a future redevelopment or subdivide for an additional lot with a future phase. All the lots meet the requirements for the RS4 zoning. For the most part, the improvements are installed. Patricia Drive is completely constructed, so all the developer will need to do for this is extend the sewer and water laterals to each of the lots, and then also do the site grading to conform with the grading plan that's they're proposing. Stormwater drains to the north and then also ultimately to the west, and the developer is in the process of working with the engineering department also with their stormwater plan. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan or the preliminary plat with the listed conditions.
Thank you, John and Jim. I will motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard, I think, Mike. Comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item, it's called a street vacation, which I think sounds weird, so we'll talk about vacating a street.
So your next item is a discussion and recommendation and referral to the Planning Commission for a street vacation for approximately 750 feet of Wingate east of Stockhausen Lane by the Department of Community Development. And this is in relationship to a future project that you will see for We Energies, and I'll turn it over to Jim to explain.
Thank you. So tonight, we're asking the Plan Commission to consider street vacation and make a recommendation to the Common Council. As part of the street vacation process, the recommendation from the Plan Commission goes to the council so we can set up a preliminary resolution to set notice for vacating the right-of-way. Again, this is to help facilitate with the redevelopment of the area for the We Energy site that we've been working with them on. The street vacation itself basically eliminates that westerly 750 feet. The utilities that do exist within that right-of-way would all become private. The sanitary sewer actually only serves that area that We Energies would have, along with the storm sewer on that western end. And then we would work with them also to create the new cul-de-sac bulb, and then also to terminate the water main at the end of the cul-de-sac. So we don't have a active main running all the way through from end to end. So again, this is a recommendation from the Plan Commission, and we're asking for the commission to consider this street vacation.
Thank you, Jim and John. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, John. I'll second. Any questions, discussion on this? Are you all familiar with where this is at? Kind of behind Piggly Wiggly, and I told our common council last night, this is an area I used to live close to and used to jog down this street, and it's really not a street that gets used very often by cars and things, and we have a really a nice development that's gonna go in here with We Energies that it's gonna benefit the city, it's gonna benefit We Energies. I'm really excited about it, and personally don't see a problem with vacating this section of street at all. I don't think our residents would even know that we did this, but obviously it is a big deal, and I don't want to make light of that, but I'm in favor of this 100% and appreciate We Energies and their vision to build on this property, so. Any other comments? Yeah.
Is the
Mike.
building actually going to be north of the Wingate? Are they going to build it on top of
Yeah,
where the
it
street was?
would be on the north side of Wingate, just west of Trenton Road for their building. This is actually gonna be more of their utility yard and access to the site.
Any other questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We have an annexation to talk about tonight.
We do.
Thank you for being here tonight.
So our annexation for this evening is a recommendation to direct an annexation to the city from the town of West Bend for approximately 100.3 acres at 2585 East Rusco Drive by F Street Development. And I'll let Jim introduce it.
Sure. So tonight, we're asking consideration for an annexation for a lot of the older staff people that are here referred to as the Colshire Farm. This is actually would be a natural extension of our industrial park that we have down in that area. It's for 100 acres. The land use plan has this slated as industrial, and the zoning would be considered as industrial for that area, also consistent with the industrial park to the south and east. Staff would recommend approval of the annexation pending the state approval and common council approval.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Jeff and Paul. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Comprehensive Plan Amendment and zoning amendments.
So our next items, F1 and 2, are actually somewhat similar. So, Jim, should I just read them both together? Yeah. That'd be easier? Okay. So we'll pick them both up together. So the first one is a Comprehensive Plan Amendment number 36 to discuss a recommendation and set a public hearing for a change in recommended land use from two-family residential lands to single-family residential lands use in the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for the City of West Bend for approximately 9.8 acres of land located between East Kilbourne Drive extended and Edgewater Drive extended in the Creek Side subdivision within, and sponsored by the City of West Bend Community Development. The other item, which is the rezoning component, is to set a public hearing for the zoning change for approximately 9.8 acres of land between East Kilbourne Drive extended and Edgewood Drive extended in the Creek Side subdivision from RD2 two-family to RS4 single-family residential district.
Go ahead.
So I can give a real quick brief for this. The developer of the subdivision has requested a change in the land use. Originally, this was set up for two-family residential as a transition from the multifamily into the subdivision. The developer has been looking at the pattern of the actual development, and it was asking for a consideration to change it from the two-family to single-family to match the rest of the subdivision. Given the lot sizes and the location of the multifamilies to the west of them, there's still adequate separation between the two uses. So this could be another consideration or a decent change for the area, and kind of make it more cohesive as a single-family subdivision versus, a little mix of two-family and single-family for that. So staff would, recommend, we looked at everything and feel that this could be a viable change. Again, we're asking the commission to take consideration on that, and if they feel that it's appropriate, that we set the public hearing for the next available meeting to hear any comments or concerns from the public for the land use change. And then also, at the same time, we could handle the public hearing for the zoning. So the actual change would be from the two-family RD2 to the single-family RS4, which would be consistent with the remaining subdivision that we have out there.
All right, so again, we're, discussion recommend to set a public hearing on both of these items, comprehensive plan change and the zoning change. I'll entertain a motion, and then we can have a discussion.
I'd move to set that public hearing on those.
Thank you, Scott, and that's for both of them?
Yes.
Yep, thanks, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Any comments, questions? If you look at page 116 in our packet, the beige color is the RD2, and then the yellow on the bottom is RD4, correct? So this is
Yeah, so,
the existing
Yeah,
and then the recommended.
correct.
So again, that yellow matches Pintail and that
Correct.
neighborhood. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same developer. He started looking at his lot sizes and the configurations of the road pattern and everything, and, felt that he wanted to be a little more cohesive with the subdivision, so he was asking for that change.
It's probably too early to ask this, but would Pintail connect into homes there?
Yeah, so what's gonna happen is that Edgewater would continue up and around to the north. Kilbourne Avenue would actually be extended, that there's Reed's Drive to the northeast would actually continue southwest and connect into the Kilbourne Avenue stub. And then there's another stub further north to an unnamed street that will eventually be extended also into the subdivision. So when all is said and done, we will have 2 connections to River Road from this subdivision, from the existing roads that are in there.
Great. Okay. Any more questions, comments? Why don't we take both of these together since the motion was made together and they pretty much go together. So this is a motion to approve setting a public hearing for both the comprehensive plan and the zoning. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Jim, did we estimate that would not be next month?
Correct.
Okay, so it's going to actually show up in April?
Probably in April, it'll actually be the April meeting, just given that we have a 30-day public notice requirement. And because
February is
February is short and our meetings are so close with March and February that we have to actually have it for the April meeting.
Okay. How about March? How does March look?
Oh, the March agenda?
Yeah.
Application deadline is Friday. We have a CSM.
CSM so far, and we might have a site plan, I think, but I'm not 100% sure.
And I don't think we have any hearings.
No public hearings,
They'll be in
correct?
April, so it'll be a light March and
Yeah.
slightly heavier possibly April.
Great. Thank you for all your work. Any other comments, questions before we adjourn? Thank you all for being here tonight, and we'll see you in March. All right, we're adjourned.